Good afternoon, guests, our director, deans, faculty, and friends. We welcome you here for a nice interactive talk on leadership and its aspects. I would like to take the opportunity to introduce our guests here, Madam Deborah Robbins. She is the Chief Operating Officer of Perry Green, and has over 25 years of work experience in public, private, and non-profit organizations. Has worked in all the areas of an organization, from a line leadership to the senior leadership. She holds a bachelor's in science in personal management and industrial relations, a master's in public administration, and she's worked in the area of spectrums related to succession planning, organizational development, change management, handbook designing, recruiting, and retaining. So we welcome to IPE, ma'am. Our next speaker for the day is Mr. Mick Thomas. He is Director Quality Assurance and Enhancement at Perry Green. He has over 30 years of experience, is again worked in private, public, and non-profit organizations. He's worked in the areas of organizational effectiveness, quality, continuous improvement, project and people management, human resource management, university administration, and research and development. We welcome you here to IPE, sir. Our next very known figure to us is Mr. Raman. He is here and he is an internationally acknowledged business journalist. He's worked highly in the area of higher education and quality. He is the editor for business lines and magazines like Financial Express, Business World, Business Standard, and many more to list. He has over 10,000 features and articles to his credit. We welcome you to IPE, sir. And I would request Professor Mishra to come and address the gathering, please.
Okay, thank you, Pratna. On your behalf, on behalf of all my friends, the two deans, Dr. Mathur, let me extend a very, very hearty welcome to Mick, Dobra, Mr. Raman, my two deans, Professor Mathur. I won't take much time. Leadership is very important in life. A good leader is a disciplined person.
I would request Mr. Raman to come and share his thoughts with us.
Can we have a little bit more quiet, please? Because we are in an open auditorium, and if you want to listen to yourself, you can. If you want to listen to us, you have to be quiet. All right? So this is something that will change, of course, with all the things that are happening here. I think your auditorium is getting ready. Next time around when we are here, obviously you guys will be inside. And you know, there are advantages and disadvantages to these things. When you're in an open place like this, it's fun, right? You can look around, it's bright and nice. In an auditorium, you're stuck. You have to listen to us. Now you're going to have an extra concentration because you're in this kind of a place. I think it works for us very well. It's good for us. As presenters, it's always fun that when the audience will be with you, then you can really communicate better. Right? That's the way it is. Okay, a bit of a background and also the reason why we are here. I just want to give you a little bit of background. I'd start from the aspect of leadership as it is applied in the Indian context. I've been a business journalist for more than 3 decades. I've worked around the country. I worked with the best of the newspapers. This I'm saying not for the sake of a CV being repeated. I just want to tell you that I have a perspective on how Indian leadership was built and how you people intending to be the Indian leaders of the future, what are you going to do will be based on what has been done already. Unless you appreciate what has already been done, you will not be in a position to plan what you will do for the future. Am I right? Right or wrong? How many of you really know how many public sector companies are there in this country? Any idea? 100? How many of you would say 100? 200? One hand. 300? 400? Tell me, some number has to be there. We have 1.2 crore people, so therefore, 120 crore, 1.2 crores. Which is right? Come on, guys. It's 120 crore people. Now, you don't have 120 crore public sector companies. Tell me, any numbers? No? It's thereabouts of 240. 47. Yeah, thereabouts. Yeah. So your hand is the one which went up when I said over 200, thereabouts, right? 247 approximately. You know why you have to say approximately? That's the tragedy of this country. You know, because companies suddenly go away. Today, we are all talking once again about divesting the equity of the public sector and bringing it down 49%. In other words, what does it mean? It means you are going to give up your control, right? Your management control will go, at least not in all, but few of the public sector, identified public sector. I just want to give you a perspective from my own experience of having covered, reported the growth of public sector in this country and the corporate growth as it is, what is existing today. I can tell you that 30 years back, if you had thought that you were going to get the kind of jobs that you are having today, or the ideas that you have in your mind that here's where I would go, this is a sector that's growing, this is a sector that's not growing, and so on. 30 years back, there was nothing. In fact, we did not even have a full-fledged business newspaper. You know, there was only commerce page. And you know what was being reported in the commerce page? Bullion rates. You know what a bullion is? Gold, silver. That's it. And commodity rates. That's all there was. That was business. Today, the scene is completely different. Do you know how many channels are reporting business on 24/7 by 365? There are such a huge number out there. Now, what happened in the last 30 years? I just want to tell you very briefly, because that's the story of leadership of this country. The public sector companies were intentionally created with a very diverse portfolio of industries that they set up in areas where the private sector would not dare even walk in because of the high capital intensity that is involved and the kind of long-term planning and long-term gestation period, and the ROI was next to nil. So you had created a social infrastructure, as the students of management you will appreciate, with a clear intention that it's not going to make profit. I mean, that's really very strange. But it's not so strange, because this is the nation which was really getting out of the slave mentality. It took us a generation, almost 30 years, to really get out of it. And after that, we started thinking, what can we do? We started this public sector movement somewhere in 50s. And we started building gradually with tremendous amount of vision, leadership, commitment, and passion. You would see the kind of public sector managers. One of them you are mentioning, Krishnamurthy. People like Krishnamurthy are institutions by themselves who created practically every top public sector company in this country that you can think of. Okay, why I'm harping on public sector is because public sector is the one which actually created the basis of growth of this country. That nobody should forget. And the reason why today they are in trouble is also because this country was creating an infrastructure based on the society, the social commitment that they had. You have to give jobs. You have to create jobs. You have to deliberately put 10 people in a place where one person could have done it. It was the social intention of the public sector as well. So these are the various ways in which we did have challenge of a very serious kind, very unnatural kind for building business. But today's business's perspective, this is looking like a joke. You say that, what the hell? Why do you have to have so many people? Indian Railways is not unbundled yet. There is any number of people who are looking at Indian Railways seriously because there's a lot of money to be made. Indian Railways. You know why? Indian Railways is world's largest in terms of network. Okay? And world's #1 company in terms of employment. We are talking about 1.5 million people on the rolls. There is no company which is going to give salaries for 1.5 million people a month. And this is not to include the contract labor, not to include the people who are dependent on the companies. There are 17 to 19 companies relating to Indian Railway, direct and indirect. And take the space program, take the nuclear program. You name anything which is successful today, the root is actually from the public sector. So why am I telling this story to you? Is because your leadership perspective comes from an institution which has traditionally catered to that particular segment which was growing the way I described it was growing, IPE. You're part of a very proud institution, Institute for Public Enterprise. You are created specially with the purpose of public enterprise in your mind. And why? Because somewhere along the line, people understood that the public enterprises cannot be run the way they are run. They have to have business orientation. This is the kind of leadership perspective that somebody brought in, based on which institutions like this was created, with leadership like that of Professor Mishra. In fact, Professor Mishra is a very good example of how a public sector companies normally used to work. You will not find a public sector chief flamboyant, staying in a 7-star hotel and flying a private plane and owing the banks something like how many thousand crores? You know who am I talking about? You all know? Who am I talking about? Very flamboyant guy. He was on every calendar. You can have from 5 girls, you know, hanging around with him. Yeah. So what is his legacy? What has he left this country with? He's not even a citizen of this country. So we are not having those kind of guys. We have down-to-earth managers with a personality of the kind that you have of your director. You will not see them flamboyant, but they're far more effective than a CEO of any of these big companies that you talk about. You see, this is the kind of leadership that one has to have in mind, where your work, your worth is based on what you have achieved, not how you look. We are not looking for leaders like Shah Rukh Khan, are you? Shah Rukh Khan is an entertainment doll. The very famous cricketers that you are seeing, they're all for entertainment at the end of the day. The real heroes that you're looking for are whom? Those guys who come from the corporates, those banking institution chiefs, and those are the kind of people that you're looking for because they are your heroes, because that is what you want to become, right? So this is where a lot of things that you can learn from what goes on and what comes out. My only request to all of you is that never forget history. Never forget your perspective. Do some real homework to understand where this country was and where it has gone and where it is going. 60s, 70s, highly restricted business climate that we had, business environment. 70s to 80s, a huge amount of introspection that was taking place. And the result of that was seen in 90s when the economy opened up, okay? And it was opened up in a particularly rash way, I would say. When we opened up, we didn't even realize what we are opening up. We just opened up the can of worms. So that was what you saw. When the next 10 years of opening up, it was amazingly fast and amazingly too open, and so too many things was done. And somewhere they got scared, then Coke went out. A lot of stories are there, right? And then they all came back after a lot of introspection and sober kind of discussion took place. And now we are started building a robust economy which is unaffected by any of the global pulls and counterpulls that is taking place. For example, in the 2008 world depression or crash, economic depression, were we affected? How many of you know that we were not affected at all? And why we were not affected? Do you know why? The economy was so robust because we learned from our experience. So this is possibly where the lessons come in for you. All I'm requesting is that, first of all, have pride in the fact that you belong to a legacy which is really massive. And second thing is, you also belong to a nation which is very powerful, which has been built on the basis of very, very strong infrastructure created with a social awareness and social motive. And you are also talking about a future in which India is very well integrated. Now, here is where people like our guests who have come from the US, actually they were from Australia, but based, they are representing a company in the US called Peregrine Academic Services and Peregrine Leadership Institute. And these are the people who will bring that kind of perspective that we need for the future of this nation. That this nation is completely global now. Whether you work for a multinational company or not, the multinational company is working with your company. Either you go global or the globe comes to you. Either way, you cannot avoid the fact that you are going global. So therefore, we need the global benchmarks of quality, global benchmarks of learning, and in other words, we need global leadership. And the idea behind this leadership workshop is to bring that perspective to us. The perspective to think of the globe as mine. I belong to the globe. So therefore, I need to understand what the globe thinks and what we need to know as leaders, and so that we can go forward and connect ourselves with the globe with the ease with which we used to connect with the world in the past based on a completely different perspective. Today the perspective has changed. So that's what you need to really understand. But the intentions are same. We have to definitely align with ourselves, with the society. At the same time, we should be able to contribute something for the society. That is something that you have to have paramount in your mind. And with that, I'm very happy to conclude what I wanted to say to you and leave the floor open to my colleague, Debbie Robbins and Michael Thomas from Peregrine Academics and Peregrine Leadership Institute. Thank you very much. Deb.
I'd like to share some perspectives on leadership today, and an interesting thought to start with. Leadership can be many things to many people. So some of the things that I'm going to share with you today, you may disagree with. And that is wonderful, because it means I'm making you think about things differently. And you're having to think about, what do you believe, which is some of my purpose today. So my first question to you is, does leadership matter? Yes? Why? We have good leaders, we have bad leaders. In the future, we'll have good leaders, we'll have bad leaders. But why does leadership really matter? Any guesses? Well, I'll share with you one perspective. The number one reason people leave their work is their relationship with their boss. Gallup Poll did a survey a number of years ago in the US, and they listed the top 10 reasons people leave their organization or leave their job. And the number one reason, by a long shot, was that the employee's relationship with their boss was tense, it was uncomfortable,